Hey folks, welcome back to Dustin Disc, and in this video we are going to be talking about my final round at the Fling For Wings tournament that I played this past weekend, or at least the past weekend from when I recorded this. If you haven't already, I posted up the first round on the YouTube channel, so the link will be in the description below. If you haven't watched it, please go check that out first. And essentially, in that round, I wound up shooting even par. I had 5 birdies, but I had a couple of holes where I made some big mistakes, and so I wound up going even par when I could have potentially been 4 or 5 under par. So definitely kind of hurt my chances to be the leader after the first round. But even after those mistakes, I still shot a pretty good round. I was the best round on my card, and I actually wound up being tied for 4th place when it was all said and done. And I think I was 2 strokes away from 3rd place, 3 strokes away from 2nd place, and I was 6 strokes behind the leader going into the 2nd round. And essentially what happens in the 2nd round is I kind of blew up. I had a really bad round, and we'll take a look at some of the low lights and the highlights here in just a second. And I think part of it was, I'm just not used to playing more than 1 round in a day. I tried to simulate playing multiple rounds in a day by going out in the field and throwing a lot of disc after I played around, but I still hadn't been used to just being out in the sun all day and playing multiple rounds and stuff. And so I feel like I got a little bit worn out, and it kind of hurt some of my power in a couple of drives. But I think the biggest problem is that I just kind of got in my own head. I had a couple of mistakes happen, and instead of letting it go and focusing up, I started getting frustrated. Even at one point, I just wanted to stop playing, which I can't have that mentality. I have to be able to persevere and keep my mental game right. And I think that was a really big problem for me, is that I just needed to be a little bit more patient. Focus up a little bit on making sure I stayed in bounds and not just kind of rushing through some shots. And then just when things did go badly, I needed to focus up and not get in my own head a little bit. And I think that happened a lot in the 2nd round, as I kind of put pressure on myself, realizing that I could get in the top 3 very easily if I played well. And I feel like just all kinds of things bunched up into one, basically. And I don't want to make any excuses. At the end of the day, I'm the only person to blame for how I perform. But anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the lowlights and highlights from this 2nd round so that you can see what I'm talking about. So here's the 2nd hole that I played of the 2nd round. The first hole, I didn't capture all of it on film. But yeah, even though I threw this hole really well in the first round, this round I just threw my drive way too high. Just didn't focus up, left it too high, caught an early branch, and now I set up for a very long approach shot with the forehand. And I was just out of range to really get close enough to get a comfortable birdie putt, so I had to just kind of play smart to try to save my par. And I thought that was, smart golf to do so. And, luckily I was able to do so at this point. Just a really long jump putt just to make sure I got close to the basket. I was able to tap out that par. Then on this hole, if you remember, on the first round, I threw too straight of a disc, and I didn't go left enough. And in this round, I went way too far left because there was a tailwind, and I threw a more overstable disc, and so I wound up going way left and not getting enough distance. And so, as you can see, I had a very tricky situation here to get close to the basket. Again, no real chance for a birdie putt, so just had to kind of lay up and take my medicine, take a par. So, yeah, just kind of having some issues here these first couple of holes already. And then this hole, in the first round, I was too far left from where I wanted to be, so this time I tried to throw something that would be a little bit straighter, but I just threw it way too high and nose up, and so it obviously just kind of went straight, sure, but then it stalled and fell left and hit some branches, and I just didn't get any distance. And so, kind of like the first round, I had a really long approach shot, really no chance to get the birdie, and then here I catch some early branches again. As you can see, I'm getting frustrated, and now I have a really long approach, just try to save a par, and that one I just didn't force it over enough to the left, and so when it faded, it left me with a really long putt. Now there's a fire truck driving by with loud sirens. I'm already frustrated. There's now loud sirens in the background trying to putt, and yeah, it's starting to pile on at this point as I just blow right past the basket. And then, now I'm here for the comeback putt to save bogey, and I missed that too. I missed the first putt. It was a longer putt, so fair enough to miss that, But I need to be hitting this one, and I was hitting these all day long in the first round, and then just to make that mistake was... that one hurt. Now, this one, I wanted to revisit this hole because I did go out of bounds in the first round this hole, and I did. I switched up to a forehand instead of the backhand turnover, and it went really well. As you can see, I got up pretty much pin high, and got, myself in a position where I should be able to get a birdie here all day long. So I'm setting up for a birdie putt, trying to salvage the score a bit after some really tough times the last few holes. And I absolutely juiced it. The mistakes are really piling on at that point. I wound up saving the par there. Then we go on to the next hole. I throw the forehand, same way I did in the first round. And I landed in a very similar spot, but unfortunately, it wasn't similar enough. I'm behind a tree. I have a really tight lane. I have to try to fit a disc through to try to get to the basket to save myself a birdie. And, well, we all see what happened there. So now I'm trying to approach just to save a par on this par 4. And, well, I throw a really good approach shot that time. Wish I had it the first time around, but, yeah. So now we're going to take a pause for a second because I didn't put 13 and 14 in the footage here, but basically I went out of bounds on both holes. So, yeah, I think in the first round I went out of bounds twice, which cost me a couple of strokes, sure, but it's still, with all the birdies I got, still wound up having a decent score. That's why, you know, I got the even par and I wound up being tied for 4th place. This round I went out of bounds 5 times. So that really added to the strokes. You know, and just to let you know now, I wound up shooting, I think, 7 over par on this round. Maybe it was 8 over par. And 5 of those strokes were because I went out of bounds. Had I stayed in bounds, I would have shot, you know, 2, 3 over par. So it would have been 3 over par in total for the whole tournament, which would have actually probably still kept me in the top 5. Or maybe even like 3rd or 4th place still, because I think a couple of other people that were close to me in score also kind of blew up and had a rough second round. So yeah, that really cost me. But here is probably the best hole of the whole tournament for me, is what you are going to see here. So absolutely smashed the backhand. It was even better than the first round, actually. And so at this point, I'm having a bad round. I've already went out of bounds, I think 3 or 4 times at this point. And so this putt's very dangerous because, as you saw in the first round, when I threw a forehand a little bit too hard, it goes really downhill once you get past the basket. And so trying to run a putt is really risky because if you throw it too long, you're going to go downhill. You're going to have a really long comeback putt. You're probably going to have to lay up and take a bogey. If you hit the basket, you throw short, it's going to roll down this hill into this ditch, and you're still going to have like a really far putt to save par. So it's very risky to run it. But at this point, I'm thinking I got to run everything because I know that I'm playing badly. I know that my chances of getting top 3 are basically just plummeting, and so I need to have something miraculous kind of happen to get back on pace. And so that's what I'm thinking here as I come up to this putt. I decide, you know what? I'm going to run it. It's a straddle putt. I think I'm about 80 feet away from the basket, and it's uphill. I have to throw across a ditch.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, I mean, this was money. This felt so good. This is probably one of the biggest putts I've ever hit. Just 80-footer, uphill, danger behind the basket, and I just landed it perfectly in there. And so this is a couple of holes later. I actually went out of bounds on 17 as well. That was the other time I went out of bounds, so now we're on 18. I throw a pretty decent drive, kind of similar to the first round. And now it's time for the approach shot onto the island. And, I mean, this went so well. Can't really see it from here, but I'm basically under the basket. So really good approach shot there. A little bit of wobble on the disc. So it wasn't perfect form or anything like that, but I had really good accuracy here. Even better than the first round. Then here's just like a nice drive I got on A-hole. Threw it really far forehand. I actually got within like 40 feet of the basket for a birdie putt. I wound up hitting the top band, so I didn't get the birdie. I got a par on that hole. And since I didn't really have many great things to show you, you might as well look at this cute duck swimming around the water that my fiance Tracy decided to film. So there you go. That's one of my better highlights is that, a duck. So you can tell things didn't go well. Let's show you the final hole that I played of this round. I have a pretty rough drive here because I hit that tree. But it kicked me back towards the basket, actually. So, you know, and set me up for, this is like a 50 to 60 foot putt. I think it's 50. And so at least I was able to end with the birdie. The issue was that was only the second birdie I had that whole round. I got 5 birdies in the first round. This round I only got 2 birdies, which I showed you both of them. It was both based on really long putts. But yeah, like I said, this went out of bounds a ton of times this round. Basically does it for my first tournament of 2021. I wound up finishing the tournament at 7 over par, and that basically put me in 8th place out of 25 players, which really hurts because, like I said, at the end of the first round, I was tied for 4th, and I was only a couple strokes away from top 3, so I was really close to the podium. I knew that catching the leader, since he was 6 strokes ahead and he was playing so well, that was very unlikely to happen unless he really made some big mistakes, and I played amazing. But I thought that I could move up a couple of spots. A couple of strokes isn't too bad. I could easily do that and get top 3 as long as I played well. And again, I just, made too many mistakes, went out of balance too many times, got in my own head, missed a couple of putts I normally would never miss. So yeah, I just really blew up the second round. So all in all, I think I can be really proud of my first round performance. I felt I played really well. Again, yeah, I had a couple of out of bounds mistakes, but I was able to shake them off and continue to play really well and actually grind my way back. I think at one point I was like 3 over par in the round. I wound up grinding my way back to even. And again, if I would have stayed in balance, I would have probably shot like a 3 or 4 under par, which would have put me in second place. So I was basically on pace for my division to do really well in that first round. It was just 3 holes out of the 18 that I kind of messed up a little bit on, and it threw me off. And all in all, though, I'm pretty proud of how I played that round. The second round, again, like the 5 out of bounds out of 18 holes is just, you're never going to do well when that happens. That's 5 strokes added to your score, and that basically is going to kind of ruin any chances of having a good run. Unless you just absolutely beast mode the other, 13 holes that you play, which I didn't. I only got 2 birdies. So a lot of mistakes in that second round, whether it be me getting tired, me getting my own head, whatever the case may be. It just didn't go well. So all in all, though, I'm pretty happy with the fact that I was able to place, on the top end of my division. At least I was, within the top 10. Only 25 players, so to be fair, so it wasn't like a crazy size. But still, all in all, I felt pretty good about it. It was certainly a way better performance than when I played this tournament last year. This is, again, only my second ever tournament in disc golf, and I've only been playing for about a year. So I think all in all, it's pretty good. I think the one big thing I can say is that my forehands were really good for the most part. My approaches were pretty darn good, except for a couple of mistakes that I made. I had that one forehand on the first round that I blew past the basket, and then I had the one forehand that I hit a tree right in front of me in the second round. But all in all, my approach shots were pretty good. My forehands were pretty good, and my putting was really good. I think I only had like 2 really bad missed putts the whole tournament. And other than that, I was hitting pretty much every putt within circle 1, and I had a couple of really big putts, obviously. I had like 1 or 2 really big putts in the first round. I had 2 huge putts in the second round that I just showed you. So all in all, I think my putting's in a really good place. I think the rest of my game isn't there yet. My mental game's not there yet. My consistency off the tee is not there yet. But I feel like I'm definitely making improvements and moving in that direction, and I hope that I can play some more tournaments this year and continue to improve. I certainly will continue to, play a lot and try to film rounds and go do field work and try to keep getting better and better, particularly with my backhand form, because I think that's what needs the most work right now. As far as like physical things that I can work on besides just getting in better shape, which I was doing for quite a while. I actually lost a bunch of weight last year, but then COVID hit. I actually had COVID, really took me out for, a few weeks there, and I kind of just got on a bad path as far as my health goes, and so now I'm focusing back up on eating healthier and getting back in the gym and stuff like that. So hopefully I'll be, more fit in my next tournament as well, as far as just making sure that I can get through without getting worn out. And yeah, that's going to do it. I don't want to keep rambling on, talking head for all of you and bore you to death, but I hope you enjoyed this footage from my tournament rounds, and I hope that you'll follow up and be on the lookout for more content, which I'll continue to try to pump out as much as I can. I'm a little bit busy right now as I release this video with some stuff going on, so it might be a little bit before I release a couple of more videos, but I'll get back to it as soon as I can. And again, please just, subscribe, leave comments, help feed the algorithm, help me grow this channel, share it with friends and family if you think it might be something they're interested in. And yeah, I'm just going to, keep at it. So thanks so much, and catch you next time.